AskReddit by JVR84. For those older than 30, what did you have do when you were kids that modern kids couldn't ever understand? My parents had no idea where I was if I wasn't home. No cell phone. I'd tell them I'm going over to so and so's, that's it. If I actually went there, they had no way of knowing. I had an alias friend. Mom, I'm spending the night at Mike's tonight. Who's Mike? Have I met him? Yeah, he was over here last month with Dave and Andy. Oh, okay, have fun. Not always getting the answers to questions. If you ask your parents and they don't know or you can't find the answer in the encyclopedia, chances are you just have to keep on wondering. And the encyclopedia was 20 years out of date. I used to wake up before the TV programming started on Saturday morning. There was literally no signal, just static on the TV from midnight until 6 AM. And then the programming day would kick off with the national anthem, followed by 5 hours of cartoons. On weekends and vacation we left the house in the morning and only returned for meals and sleep. Until I was like 16 I lived outside for most of the daylight hours. You gain a self-reliance that is harder to get these days when young. Deleted. Don't know my daughter's number now but can still recite 3-4 of my best friend's numbers from the 80s. We didn't have online gaming. You went to a friend's house, or they came to yours and you played split screen. If you had a PlayStation, there was only to control a spot. If you're lucky enough to have an N64, then you could play 4-player games. But you had to bring your own controller or you risked getting stuck with the crappy third PSRT controller that your friends aunt bought them for a birthday. The best days were where everyone gathers at one house, and those who had an N64 brought a game or two. Loser would swap out with someone else, or if it was a big group, the last two people would switch out so everyone got to play. Mario Kart 64 tournaments were always great. Lucky you. I knew one person with Atari, and a rich kid with Intellivision. Go to the library and spend hours there to research for writing a term paper. I remember I had a debate teacher circa 2005. He was maybe in his 40s, not super old or anything. He explained that when he was in school, he was always required to have print sources, and that he frequently had to drive around to find them. So he was like, yeah, we're gonna be doing some driving. Hated that guy. Had to keep your portable CD player steady or you might knock the CD loose and it would skip or lose the spot on the CD. On the bus, we would lift them in the air when we went over railroad tracks. Not having an online to order anything from. You had to go to a store or maybe use a catalog mail order, like call up a rep or fill out an order sheet in the catalog and mail it with a check. Also, checks. Please allow 28 days for delivery. I get mad now waiting a week for things to arrive. When I was a kid you'd send away for something and then not expect to receive it for another couple of months if you were lucky. Knowing which kid's house all your friends are currently playing Nintendo at because of the pile of bikes in the front yard. And also Nintendo controllers being wired, so you had to sit right in front of a TV in order to play. Freedom to just go and be gone. My parents had basically zero idea where I was for large swaths of the day. At 11-12 years old, I would wake up on a Saturday morning, have some cereal, and just say I'm gonna go hang out with Stevie. Grab my bike go. And I was in the wind until 6 PM when I came home for dinner. No cell phone, no checking in, nothing. It's kind of amazing that I never got lost, or kidnapped or anything. We were riding our bikes everywhere and our parents had no clue where we were. Long distance charges. I tell my kids that when my grandmother called from Boston, everything going on in the house instantly stopped because she was calling long distance, which was a per minute surcharge. Everyone in the family had to hover near the phone in case she asked to talk to you, and my dad would go nuts if he had to find you while Nana was racking up long distance minutes. Early cell phones. Call me after 7. My minutes are free. Who remembers ordering 12 CDs for 1 penny then never ordering the rest you were required to? I think it was Columbia House. I see Weiner and Mike Hunt definitely got some free CDs delivered to our house. I just tried explaining something to my 13-year-old yesterday, that my mom would drop my brother and I off at the mall for the afternoon to buy our friends Christmas presents. We started this when he was in 4th grade and I was in 6th. That year we each brought a friend, but in later years we were often on our own. She gave one of us her watch and the other had to rely on the single clock in the middle of the mall. We technically had money use a payphone to call her, but she probably wouldn't have been home if we did. We would spend the next 3-4 hours there by ourselves and then meet her outside at a predetermined time. My daughter said it sounded dangerous. I told her it actually wasn't and crime rates are significantly lower now, just our perception of danger has changed. And by comparison, I thought it was crazy that my mom and her friend were allowed to ride the bus into the middle of downtown when they were in elementary school to do similar shopping. I just saw the run of Rosen where her daughters are going to the mall by themselves to meet up with their friends, at a pretty young age, and thought how ancient this seems. I was a teen in the 80s when the mall was everything. If we wanted to go somewhere we rode our bikes. We rarely got a ride in the car. We lived near the Mississippi River, and my brother and I bought a boat when we were early teenagers. We would spend days on the river and sleep outside for most of the summer. We did this without any adult supervision. Sweet. I'm now nostalgic for a past I didn't live. The feeling of not being in permanent contact with people. I'd only talk to a friend when I met him/her. If I needed to talk to someone I'd have to use the house phone and our parents wouldn't allow to stay for more than 5 minutes in the phone. And the losing touch and likely never seeing a person again. When we did our 20-year reunion some people simply could not be located. They just vanished into thin air. Cheat codes to play games. Hell yeah, nothing like cheat codes playing GoldenEye on N64. We weren't allowed to play inside, except for when it was pouring down rain, but if it was summer, you went out in a bathing suit. We made friends by just going out to find them. There was no such thing as water bottles. If we needed a drink, we'd ask someone to steal a drink from their hose. I miss just walking around and finding a group of kids to play with for the day. Then you'd go home and might never see them again. You got to meet a bunch of great people though. Also, when a friend moved away that was it. You never really saw or heard from them again. Having to call the main house line and get some random person in your friend's household and having to ask to talk to them. I think they could understand it, but maybe not the depth of the anxiety that comes with it. Lol. I looked up the number in the phono book beforehand to lol. Holes in blue jeans were earned. God help you if you came home with holes in your clothes. Being amazed by the choices at the video store. The excitement and joy of spending half an hour at Blockbuster picking a couple movies or even a video game out to enjoy for the weekend. I loved going to Blockbuster. The disappointment when one of the new releases was all checked out. Creating the perfect away message on AIM. Being able to be away at all. Playing outside from sun up to sundown with nothing but our imaginations and maybe a stick or two. Those were the days. Hell yay. Build forts from rocks, cardboard and sticks. I'd call my friend on his house phone, ask his parents if I could speak to him, they'd yell and on the phone, they'd come to the phone, and then I'd ask if I could come over sleep over, or if he wanted to come over, and then we'd play in the woods with sticks and play pretend we were teenagers, and then we'd spend all night, till midnight or 1 AM, playing co-op, console, non-internet connected video games. The next day my mom would show up, Either because she'd talked to his parents when she dropped me off, or she called them that day and picked me up. Then maybe we chat later on AIM or play some Warcraft III together. Good times. Cell phones changed a lot. I was playing pretend with my 5-year-old niece and held my thumb and pinky to my ear to represent being on the phone. She didn't get it. I told her I was on the phone and she said oh, like this, and held her palm to her ear. These kids will never know about flip phones. Yeah. My younger niece will hold her hand out in front of her to talk on the phone since all her calls are video calls.